Have you ever noticed that the harder you cling to something, the faster it seems to slip away, as if life itself is testing the grip of your desperation? You pour your energy, your focus, your very soul into a dream, chasing it with everything you have, yet with every frantic step, it drifts further out of reach. This is no accident. This is the sacred paradox of the universe, a divine truth that reveals itself only when you're too tired to keep forcing. It's in that quiet exhale, that moment when you finally let go, not in defeat, but in surrender, that what you've been chasing turns and begins to move toward you. If this stirs something deep within you, if you've lived this strange, humbling truth, then know, you are not alone. Let this be the space where that shared knowing lives. Anchor your readiness by typing "I am letting go" or simply 777 in the comments below. Like this message to seal the energy shift within you. Subscribe to walk this path of alignment with us, because what comes next could change the way you meet your destiny forever. From the moment we are born into this world, we are programmed with a powerful yet profoundly misleading belief system. We are taught that the path to fulfillment is a brutal, uphill battle. Hustle, they tell us. Grind harder, the world screams. Never give up, never surrender, push until you break. This relentless narrative is woven into the very fabric of our society. It's the gospel of endless struggle, the belief that relentless effort and a white-knuckled grip on our desires are the only keys to unlocking the life we want. We are conditioned to see life as a war to be won, a beast to be tamed through sheer force of will. But I want you to pause and ask your soul a radical question. What if this constant pushing, this desperate, forceful energy is the very thing creating a barrier between you and your deepest desires? What if the struggle you've been taught to glorify is precisely what is keeping you from receiving? What if the universe isn't asking you to fight, but to flow? Think about it. Your own life is the most sacred text you will ever read. How many times have you yearned for something with an all-consuming desperation? Perhaps it was a relationship you believed would complete you, a job that promised to validate your worth, or an opportunity that felt like your one and only chance at happiness. You poured every ounce of your being into its pursuit. You strategized, you worried, you forced, you manipulated, and you chased it with a frantic energy born of fear. And what happened? The more you chased, the faster it fled. It became a ghost, a mirage that shimmered just beyond your reach. The energy of your desperation, your deep-seated fear of not having it, created a repellent vibration. You were essentially telling the universe, "I am in a state of lack," and the universe, in its infinite wisdom, could only reflect that state of lack back to you. Then, the moment of surrender arrived, the moment of exhaustion, of heartbreak, of finally saying, "I can't do this anymore. I give up." The moment you let it slip from your grasp, loosened your energetic grip, and turned your attention back to your own inner peace. And then, as if by some divine magic, it appeared. The phone call came, the right person walked in. The opportunity you had given up on suddenly materialized, effortlessly and perfectly. This isn't a coincidence, this is a universal law in action. Why does life work in this seemingly backward way? What is the profound spiritual and psychological mechanism at play here? To understand this, we must first look at a phenomenon you have undoubtedly experienced firsthand: anxiety. Consider the nature of an anxious thought. The more you try to forcefully push it away, the more you command yourself, "Don't be anxious, stop thinking about that," the stronger its grip becomes. The thought you resist is the thought that persists. This is a fundamental paradox of the human mind. Psychologists have long understood this principle, often calling it the rebound effect. The very act of resisting anxiety, of fighting against the feeling, actually fuels it with more energy. The harder you try to force a feeling of calm, the more stressed and agitated you become. This is because your mind becomes locked in a state of internal warfare. You are fighting yourself. This internal battle creates an immense amount of friction and tension, a low-frequency vibration that completely blocks the natural state of ease and flow that is your divine birthright. Your soul knows peace, but your mind is convinced it must wage a war to find it. Now, let's take this sacred understanding and expand it beyond the realm of anxiety. Let's apply this divine law to every facet of your existence, to your pursuit of success, to the harmony in your relationships, to your experience of happiness, and even to the flow of your creativity. When you become tightly fixated on a specific outcome, When you obsess over every single detail and micromanage every step, you are operating from that same energy of resistance. You are, in essence, trying to force the river to flow in the exact direction you've dictated. But the river of life has its own intelligence, its own divine current. By trying to control it, you unintentionally suffocate the very rhythm that allows things to unfold with effortless grace. You are so busy trying to control the how and the when that you completely block the flow of unexpected opportunities and synchronicities that the universe is trying to send your way. Instead of being open, receptive, and in a state of flow, you become rigid, brittle, and reactive. You are perpetually trapped in a tense state of struggle, convinced that you must hold the entire world together with your own two hands, when in reality, the universe is just waiting for you to let go and be carried. There is deep, undeniable psychological science that illuminates this spiritual truth. When your mind senses desperation, when it vibrates at the frequency of fear and lack, it immediately shifts into a defensive, survival-based mode. It perceives the absence of your desire as a threat to your well-being. This psychological state of alarm triggers a cascade of stress hormones throughout your body. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, floods your system. This isn't just a fleeting feeling, it has profound physiological consequences. It clouds your thinking, impairs your judgment, and severely limits your ability to make clear, intuitive decisions. Your cognitive functions become hijacked by panic. So, instead of being in a state where you can attract and recognize creative solutions, you are subconsciously pushing them away. You become trapped in a self-perpetuating cycle of struggle. You're spinning your wheels, exhausting your life force, and wondering with increasing frustration why everything feels so incredibly difficult. You're trying to solve a vibrational problem with brute force, and it simply cannot work. This is not a new discovery. The ancient philosophers and awakened masters knew this secret thousands of years ago. The Stoics, those great pillars of wisdom, spoke of a more fatigued love of one's fate. This wasn't a passive resignation to a predetermined future. It was a powerful, active embrace of life as it unfolds in its entirety. It was the practice of finding wisdom and strength in every outcome, whether it matched their initial desire or not. Instead of trying to control every variable, they advised embracing life exactly as it presents itself, trusting that everything that happens for you, not to you. It's a profound trust that every event is a precise and necessary part of your soul's curriculum. When you begin to approach your life from this sacred perspective, a monumental shift occurs. You are no longer struggling against the current of reality, you are flowing with it. You effortlessly align yourself with a stream of possibilities and divine assistance that you were previously too blind with effort to see. This is the path of alignment, where what is meant for you can finally find you. Let's consider how this plays out in our relationships. When you desperately chase someone's approval, when your happiness hinges on their validation, you broadcast an energy of neediness. And neediness is fundamentally unattractive, not because it's wrong to desire connection, but because it signals a deep inner lack. Others instinctively sense that you are coming from a place of emptiness, seeking for them to fill a void that only you can. This energy of lack is repellent. But when you stop chasing approval, when you find comfort and wholeness within yourself, something truly powerful and magical happens. You become a beacon. People are naturally drawn to your centered, self-assured energy. They gravitate towards your light, not because you are trying to pull them in, but precisely because you are not. Your relationships deepen without strain. Your connections become authentic and effortless, all because you have stopped trying to force them into a predetermined shape. You have allowed them and yourself to simply be. The very same principle is true for your life's goals and your most cherished dreams. Yes, action matters. Yes, effort is essential. But it is the quality of your effort that ultimately determines your success. It is the frequency from which your action originates that dictates the result. Frantic, fear-based struggle is not the secret to achievement. Rather, it is the clarity, the ease, and the alignment of your actions that truly create miracles. When you take action from a place of calm, certainty, from a place of trust and inspiration, rather than from a place of frantic desperation, your efforts become exponentially more powerful. Picture this scenario vividly in your mind. Two swimmers are in the vast, open ocean, both wanting to reach the safety of the shore. The first swimmer panics. He thrashes and flails, fighting against the waves with every ounce of his strength. He is terrified, and his fear exhausts him, pulling him under. The second swimmer, however, takes a different approach. He relaxes, he trusts, he allows the natural current to carry him, using his energy wisely to guide himself in the direction of the shore. Both swimmers want the exact same outcome, safety and success. But the first wastes all his precious energy fighting the inevitable, while the second harnesses the natural forces of the ocean to effortlessly reach his destination. Your life works in exactly the same way. Understand this. This isn't a call for passive waiting or for abandoning your dreams. This is a call to engage with life from a higher state of consciousness, from a place of trust, not a place of fear. It's about shifting your entire energetic signature away from the vibration of desperation, away from the constant tension of anxiety, and towards a state of calm, confident alignment. This simple but profound shift allows the universe to work alongside you as a co-creator rather than against you. When you finally stop trying to force outcomes, when you release the need to control every single aspect of your journey, something truly remarkable happens. Opportunities appear as if from nowhere. The right relationships blossom without any effort. Success begins to chase you rather than you desperately chasing success. This is not magic in the way we've been taught to think of it. This is alignment. It is the physics of consciousness. You are finally, beautifully, in tune with life's natural flow, the divine rhythm of the cosmos, where possibilities can unfold smoothly and effortlessly, just as they were always meant to. So, here is the most powerful and transformative insight you need to embrace today. Stop trying so hard. It's time to make a conscious choice. Shift your energy away from the frantic, desperate chase and anchor it in a state of calm, intentional action. You must recognize that often doing less, struggling less, and forcing less is what creates the sacred space for more to flow into your life. When you think deeply and honestly about the way you've approached your goals, it becomes easy to see why constantly pushing from a place of fear simply doesn't yield the results your soul truly desires. Let's explore this on an even deeper psychological level. Why exactly does releasing control so often lead to better, more miraculous outcome? To fully grasp this phenomenon, we need to talk about the nature of attachment. Attachment is a core concept in both modern psychology and ancient Eastern philosophy. It is, in essence, the powerful and often rigid emotional bond you create with a specific outcome, person, or scenario. And while it might seem logical to believe that a strong attachment to your goals would fuel your ambition and drive, it almost always does the exact opposite. It creates immense pressure, deep-seated anxiety, and a pervasive tension that, in turn, blocks you from the very success you are trying to achieve. Here is how this mechanism works in your practical, day-to-day reality. When you are strongly attached to an outcome, you are fundamentally operating from a place of fear. It is the fear of losing the thing you are attached to. It is the fear of not achieving it. It is the fear of falling short and what that might say about your worth. Your subconscious mind, which is always listening, senses this deep-seated fear and immediately shifts your entire being into a protective, defensive mode. It activates your internal alarm systems. Stress hormones like cortisol flood your system, and instead of helping you perform better, these hormones make you reactive, impulsive, and emotionally volatile. Instead of calmly and creatively navigating obstacles, you are suddenly and completely overwhelmed by them, unable to see clear solutions because your mind is screaming, "Threat, threat, fix it now." There's a fascinating study that was conducted on performance anxiety among professional athletes that perfectly illustrates this divine law. Researchers discovered that athletes who were overly fixated on the outcome of winning, who were intensely attached to that specific result, actually performed significantly worse under pressure than those who remained calmly focused on simply executing their skills in the present moment. Their attachment to winning created a fear of losing, which sabotaged their natural ability. But when the pressure of the outcome was removed, when the athletes were encouraged to simply enjoy the game and remain present in the process, their performance improved dramatically. It wasn't their skill or their preparation that changed. It was simply the shift away from intense, fearful attachment and pressure toward a state of calm, flowing presence. And this isn't just limited to the world of sports. It is a universal truth for all of life. Think about someone who is incredibly anxious during a job interview. Their attachment to getting that job, their desperate need to make a perfect impression, often sabotages their entire performance. Their body language becomes tight and closed off. Their speech stumbles, their answers feel forced and rehearsed. Meanwhile, imagine someone else who enters that same interview, but they are relaxed, centered, and unattached to the outcome. They are simply confident in themselves and their abilities. They perform better, more naturally, not because they are necessarily more skilled, but because they are free from the overwhelming, paralyzing pressure of attachment. What's happening here is not random. Psychologists explain this phenomenon through a powerful concept called outcome independence. Outcome independence means that your self-worth, your happiness, and your inner peace do not hinge entirely on achieving a certain external outcome. Instead, your sense of self remains stable, grounded, and whole, regardless of external events. When you cultivate this profound mindset, you become psychologically resilient and emotionally balanced. You become able to respond flexibly and creatively to life's challenges, rather than being controlled and overwhelmed by them. Interestingly, this doesn't mean you shouldn't set ambitious goals or desire success. Of course not. It simply means detaching your emotional and spiritual well-being from the final outcome. Your goals become your guidelines, not your ultimatums. You learn to say, "It would be wonderful if this happens, but I will still be whole and okay if it doesn't." This subtle but profound shift in perspective completely removes fear from the equation, allowing you to pursue what matters most to you from a place of inner freedom, inspiration, and joy, rather than from a place of desperate, fearful compulsion. This is exactly what Zen philosophy calls Wu Weita, art of effortless action. It's not laziness or apathy. Instead, Wu Wei means taking action that flows naturally from within, an action that is free from force, control, or stress. It is a state of being in perfect, harmonious alignment with yourself and your surroundings, responding intuitively to life's challenges rather than fighting against them. When you embody Wu Wei, your actions become incredibly powerful, precisely because you are not forcing anything. You are simply letting things flow. This can all seem paradoxical at first, because we have been so deeply conditioned by the world to equate more effort with better results. But if you honestly and courageously reflect on your own life, you will notice countless examples where trying harder from a place of fear only made things worse. Maybe it was the relationship you tried to fix by controlling every interaction, or the creative project you struggled to perfect so obsessively that you lost all of your inspiration and joy. Only when you finally stepped back, relaxed, and stopped forcing things, did the situation finally resolve itself, or the inspiration returned. The key here isn't to abandon effort entirely. It is to redefine what productive, aligned effort truly looks like. Productive effort is calm, focused, and purposeful. It stems from a place of genuine passion and curiosity, not from a place of anxiety or desperation. Productive effort trusts the process and accepts the humbling reality that you cannot control everything, and that's okay. In fact, that is where your true power lies. Imagine an artist painting a masterpiece. If they are tense, overly critical, and obsessing about making every single brushstroke perfect, the creativity stops flowing. Their art becomes stiff, lifeless, and unnatural. But the moment they release that control, the moment they trust their intuition and allow their instincts to guide their hand, the magic begins. Their work comes to life effortlessly, flowing onto the canvas almost as if it were created by something beyond themselves. You can apply this sacred wisdom to your life, starting today. Begin by simply recognizing where you are clinging too tightly to outcomes. Is it your image, your success, a particular relationship? And then, consciously, gently, begin to loosen that grip. This isn't giving up, it is opening up. It's about learning to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to trust that sometimes letting go is precisely what allows the best things in your life to happen. Let's talk about the illusion of control, because this is where our effort so often becomes sneakily destructive. Most people are walking through life with their fists clenched, constantly trying to control how things unfold, whether it's a conversation, a career path, or even how others perceive them. They are gripping tight to an imagined, perfect outcome, hoping that if they just do enough, worry enough, or plan enough, everything will fall perfectly into place. But life rarely cooperates with that kind of intense pressure. In fact, it tends to push back even harder the tighter you squeeze. The illusion of control gives you a temporary, false sense of safety, but what you're actually doing is creating immense internal resistance. You are fighting with what is. You start to operate from fear, from insecurity, from an unspoken belief that you are not enough unless the outcome looks a certain way. And this is exactly why things begin to fall apart the moment you grip too tightly. This mindset shows up everywhere. Think of someone obsessively refreshing their phone, anxiously waiting for a reply. Or a person rehearsing every single word before a conversation, desperately trying to manage every possible response. That over-planning, that over-analyzing doesn't create better outcomes. It creates tension, and that tension leaks into your energy, your tone, and your body language. Others can feel it, and it instinctively repels them. Now compare that to someone who walks into the same situation with a relaxed, centered confidence. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to force anything. Their very presence speaks louder than their effort, and people naturally gravitate toward them, not because they are trying so hard, but precisely because they are not. That relaxed, open state is magnetic. And this isn't some fluffy spiritual idea. There is real neuroscience behind it. When you are overly controlling, you trigger your brain's threat detection system. Your amygdala, the primal center of fear, takes over, making your decisions emotionally reactive. Your creativity shuts down, your problem-solving narrows, and you can't see opportunities clearly because your brain is screaming, fix it now. But when you release control, when you calm down, breathe, and let go, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for higher reasoning, profound insight, and creativity. You literally become smarter by letting go. It's crucial to understand that letting go doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing your part and then trusting the process. There is a vast difference between giving up and giving in to flow. Giving up is rooted in hopelessness, but giving in is rooted in wisdom. It means you are no longer trying to micromanage the universe. You are recognizing that some things are beyond your reach, and that's not a weakness, that's a superpower. It also helps you shift your focus from the future outcome to the present moment. Instead of being caught in a never-ending loop of what ifs and what should be, you return to the now. And it is only in the now that real, tangible change can happen. All your clarity, all your insights, all your best decisions, they arise in this moment, not in the imaginary future you're trying to control. So, I invite you to ask yourself, where in your life are you still gripping too tightly? Is it your image, your success, a relationship? What would happen if you loosened your grip, even just a little? You might just realize that the thing you're chasing is already on its way to you, but you were too busy forcing the wrong door to notice that the right one was already wide open. There's a moment, quiet and almost invisible, when something inside you finally surrenders. It's not in defeat, not because you gave up, but because you're done carrying what was never truly yours to carry in the first place. You stop running toward outcomes. You stop clenching your jaw, trying to hold it all together, and for the very first time, you let life breathe. That is when things truly shift. You start noticing the way stress has crept into your posture, the way your thoughts spiral without pause. And suddenly, without pushing or pulling, life starts responding differently. The right people begin showing up. The right ideas start clicking. You speak a little more clearly. You walk a little lighter. Not because everything in the outside world magically changed, but because you did. Letting go isn't about sitting back and watching life happen to you. It's about releasing your grip on the illusion that control was ever the answer. It's realizing that effort without presence is just noise, and that the version of you who trusts, who softens, who listens, that is the one who finally sees the path clearly. This moment, right here, is the beginning of that shift. If anything we've shared here has resonated, I would love for you to share it in the comments. Let this be a space where we stop pretending we have it all figured out. Let's be real, let's talk, let's grow together. And if you're ready to dive even deeper into this kind of self-awareness, don't forget to subscribe. This journey is just beginning, and you're exactly where you need to be.